that's why it's really important to have a plan and understand what your goals are.
In fact, my camel out there is suffering right now with a broken back.
So I actually found Pepe when it was only a couple of hours old, and I'm like, oh, this is a funny meme.
Oh my god.
Yo! Who is this degen?
The old man is swing trading over years at a time. And it's like, that's where the real money is made.
The answer is a permanent loss. With single-sided staking, you don't have to worry about impermanent loss.
Really, at the end of the day, it's just a matter of a macro market. It's just what happens.
If you're aware, if you're disciplined, you can hone that into further financial growth.
Financial freedom, so we can actually live life and not have to be constantly living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, more or less, right?
Ladies, gentlemen, and D-gentlemen of all ages, welcome back to the Degen Roundtable Special Edition Wednesday for a very special guest, someone who's very special to all of us here on the panel tonight. That is one of our crypto rich dads, Cultivate Crypto, aka Charlie. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, glad to be here. I like the intro. It's cool, and it's very clear that it's not financial advice.
Yeah, I'm trying to get that one out of the way up front.
I love it. I love it.
For sure.
But, hey,
I know you just
can't be degens without making sure that people have that warning, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You got to have a little bit of protection there. It's like the stop loss of legal, effectively. So there you go.
Exactly.
Yes.
True. All right, folks, joining us tonight on the panel, we have our own Agent J. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic. I've been looking forward to this very much. I know we were supposed to have Charlie a little bit earlier during the month of April, but I was like, yo, I can't make it that Wednesday. Can we try to finagle him for a different date? Because I gotta get on that panel with my first crypto mentor. So I was like, I'm glad I could be here and looking forward to the conversation, because as always, I'm pretty sure that Charlie has a lot of knowledge and wisdom to share with us, with our community, and the Moon Gang as always. So very glad to be here, and very glad to finally get Charlie on the show.
Love it. Nate, how you doing, buddy?
Man, I've been working a whole lot in real life, and so sadly, I have not been keeping up with crypto as much as maybe I should. However, I do gotta admit, Charlie, thank you very much for coming on. You're probably gonna hear from all of us, but yeah, it was the Cultivate Crypto and dollar cost cryptos, you guys that taught us. And it was overall, you're the reason why we're here doing this now, trying to help other people learn crypto and not get wrecked. And yeah, maybe do a little degenning as well, right? So, I appreciate it for you coming on. And hey, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, there's one thing I want to kind of say to that, which is interesting. Like a lot of what I've learned in crypto in the early days, right? I had to learn through people I either knew in real life or, people I would meet online. But I would say at that point, most of the people that I met online, they weren't I would say they're not necessarily the most supportive of being like, hey, come out here and do stuff. I think crypto really, especially in 2017, it still does. I mean, right now we're in the MEV cycle, right? The maximum extracted value cycle, basically. And I think it has a scarcity problem where it's like there's some people who are like they don't want to see people do well, or they don't want to see what they would consider like competition and stuff like that. So I've really seen different people on crypto Twitter, different people on crypto YouTube not really promote their own community, which I've just kind of throughout my experience, I've just been like, damn, that's kind of sucks, right? So I'm really glad that there's people within our community who are basically like, hey, let's fucking do this. Let's go out here and, basically, keep paying it forward, because, yeah, I never got that support when I was early days in crypto. So, except for, I would say, from the Red Pill community, obviously, that area is really what, helped me and Miguel basically be able to put our message out there. And so, definitely shout out to Rollo for that.
Absolutely. I can completely agree with that. What you said, I'll move it on into Will.
We got one more to get through.
All right.
Mr. Will Stevenson, how you doing tonight, my man?
What's up, everybody? Life is good. I just got done climbing a 1,200-foot tower today or yesterday, only to figure out that we climbed all the way up there with a 40-pound like part that was the wrong part. And so that was cool. So we climbed all the way back down after like taking some pictures and being like, well, it is what it is. But like, I'm fucking stoked to be here, yo. It's good to see you again, Charlie Broski. And I've told you this before, and I'll say it again publicly. Like, I got to thank this dude down here because he is the reason that I got into sales, that I learned how to talk to people, that I like got into the whole like figuring out how to communicate and do marketing and stuff. Like when I first met Charlie and Miguel down in Vegas, I was hanging out with Charlie and he was like, yo, bro, you're a fucking salesman. And I'm like, what?
Yep.
What's a fucking salesman, dude? Like, I don't know what the hell that is, but like, bro, you set me down a path that has like just completely changed my life. So I got to thank you for that. And thank you for joining us tonight, bro. It's going to be great. I'm super stoked to have this conversation.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Real quick, gentlemen, for the audience out there who might not know us and why we are so fond of this excellent man below me, can we get a quick show of hands? Who has taken the Cultivate Crypto or the Crypto Mindset course?
Multiple times.
Yeah, four times.
Yes.
Multiple times for sure.
Yeah, we originally spawned out of your guys' community, and again, thank you so much for the support. Like, I think the reason all of us are doing this is because at some point we met up with you guys and you said you wanted more people to work with, so we're out here trying to put in the work.
Beautiful. Well, yeah, and it's also like what do you call it? You guys getting into different communities and really just, you know, getting out there, you know, shaking hands and you know, I think just being active, right? I'm, to be honest, like sometimes when I'm like looking at what me and Miguel do with our business and everything, I'm like, how come more people aren't doing this shit? You know what I mean? Like, how come more people aren't out here, you know, trying to help people in crypto, because there's so much in this space, like in terms of like just the pie is wide open, right? It's like a, you know, a blue ocean right now in terms of opportunity. And like, it's mostly because whenever there's negative price action, people flip the fuck out, right? And so as long as you can, you know, not really worry about the volatility of crypto so much, like you can build an amazing following, business, help people, do all sorts of stuff. That's awesome. But like, yeah, I just don't see the majority of people in crypto doing that. A lot of, like we say, you know, a lot of people who do what do you call it, YouTube and are influencers per se. I kind of hate the word, so I'm trying not to use it. But you know, the people doing that, like most of them are either grifters who sell you a Bybit link, right? And then they also only come into the, you know, the cycle for about 2 years, and then the other 2 years they're taking vacation most of the time. So it's like, you know, it's not really the way to onboard people. And I would say, you know, the fact that you guys are also active in the Pulse Chain community is awesome too, because that is one of the more, I would say, like community driven coins out there. And so that as well, I mean, like I know Zenith and Nate have been to the conferences a lot. Of, obviously Will has too. We still got to get Jay Schroth out there, you know, come on, bro. No, but like, but what do you call it? One thing that I think was kind of a gift on a silver platter from Richard Hart in a way, right? People aren't going to know that until like years down the line. But, and once, you know, it's the same thing with Bitcoin in the early days, right? A lot of people weren't really taking it seriously. But if you're early on a project that people won't let die, even if it doesn't have the outsized success that everybody's looking for it at the beginning, I think it will eventually, right? And so not only does crypto have that opportunity for everybody, but then, you know, going into specific niches, communities that aren't VC led, right? Basically is where a lot of the opportunity is at. So you guys are, you know, hitting the nail on the top of the head on that.
Yeah, the Moon Gang was our first home, but the Hex Pulse community absolutely embraced us with open arms, and we're hoping that we're giving back to those guys as much as we possibly can. I remember we were sitting in the cigar lounge. I was talking with you, and you told me to start like doing, like getting online, YouTubing, Instagram, doing the influencer thing. And then 2 years later, effectively, I ended up kind of just getting immersed in all the legal stuff with the Richard Hart case. And then me and Will as well got pretty engrossed in it. And then ended up doing a reenactment of the court for the hearing that we had in New York City. Will and I were out there for that. They asked me to be a speaker, which was wild. And they asked me to do it again in March. And I was sitting down with the treasurer of Nevada and our buddy Nuclear Herbs. And I was like, this is absolutely wild. If you had told me I would have gotten to this point at this stage, I would have told you you're crazy. But it's been a wild ride. And I got to say, the community on both Pulse Chain side of the house and also the Moon Gang. They're different beasts for sure, but there is a lot of overlap there. It's been a wild ride.
I would say the Moon Gang's smarter, but
I'd say so.
The main
so.
reason for that, right, is simply just because we're coin agnostic. We're willing to go into so many different projects and really kind of see what they're about. Versus, the Hexicans, they're lovely and everything, but sometimes they, don't want to venture out into the rest of crypto, which I think will hold the community back. But eventually, right, they'll have to.
That's true. I can't remember if it was either you or Miguel, but I was talking with one of you guys. You might have mentioned on stream as well, specifically when it comes to Phantom and the Sonic networks. We were just trying to like poking around over there, seeing who's over there, seeing what kind of community they got going on. And then we like do the Scooby-Doo thing where you pull off the mask and you're like, wait, this is just a bunch of Hexicans.
I mean, it's the same. You could say the same thing about Bitcoiners, right?
That's true. That's true.
Bitcoiners are just what do you call it? Mature degens. Like there's still people that don't think Bitcoin's real money, right? So they've been hated on the whole time. So I think every crypto community has way more in common than they think they do. But hey, tribalism for the win, right?
Yeah. What's the saying? Crypto community is like having a sports team, a religion, and an investment all in one.
Sounds fun.
Nate, are you on mute over there? Or?
Yeah, I'm on mute right now.
Okay. Sorry. I thought you're just chuckling to yourself. All right.
Oh, no. It's the idea. So, the idea of going to Phantom Sonic and it's basically a bunch of Hexicans. I think a lot of that has to do probably with the same sort of idea. Not only that, you and Miguel are pretty heavy into Pulse Chain as well as Sonic, but also that it seems like a lot of people on Pulse Chain, like Hexicans, they're really into yielding, right? And the majority of like yielding farms and stuff, that's kind of what Pulse Chain and Sonic are kind of known for. Because, I mean, there's obviously different yielding farms when you go over to either Ethereum or AVAX or anywhere else, but it's more pronounced, I would say, on these two particular chains. And that's the reason why, you rip off the mask and it's a bunch of Hexicans. Well, it's probably because we're kind of sharing a lot of the community.
Yeah, and a lot of people who, I mean, if you look at yield farming in terms of like what does it promote in terms of action, right? Like a lot of short term kind of taking advantage of the market. I like to call it like locusts, right? They'll follow where the yield goes, but it's a great way to try to attract other people to your ecosystem. I would say right now the yield on Pulse Chain is not with always the best assets yet. So it has a ways to go, but Sonic's doing it really, really well. I would say Sonic right now is pretty much the network that for every cryptocurrency wants to be. Bitcoin, you could argue, wants to be sound money, so it doesn't want to be as much DeFi as it could be. But yeah, Sonic is literally, I would say, since 2017, it's the perfect cryptocurrency.
Wow, that's a pretty big statement right there.
Yeah,
I
think everybody wants.
I am a little bit salty with them though. I got to admit, because when I went in there and I into their telegrams and I started getting, hey guys, where do you suggest I go? What should I look at? They basically literally just told me, don't know, go have fun, go explore. And I'm like, okay, well that's cool and everything. Can you point me in a direction? And they're just like, no. They're literally telling me no. And I'm like, why? Why not? And they basically told me to go pound sand, and all I said was like, well, this is why Pulse Chain is better.
Oh wow. Oh yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Oh no.
Charlie, quick question for you. So you think Sonic is, in terms of L1s, is pretty much leading ahead of the pack? Because like I was thinking Sonic is super cool, but I mean in terms of just the amount of volume of users, I think probably Base is not an L1, but like as far as the ones that get the most amount of users, Solana, Base, and Sonic probably. Do you think Sonic is like head and shoulders above those top ecosystems as well?
So in terms of tech, and we're in it for the tech, right?
Yes.
But yeah, in terms of tech, like what it's capable of, what it can do is pretty much, Solana wished it could be a decentralized chain that basically Wall Street would be able to plug and play. Sonic already does that. Sonic's faster than Ripple. It's better than ETH. It doesn't get bogged down. It actually has, a leader who I would say understands both price as well as, in marketing and stuff like that. So it actually can be competent, unlike, Vitalik in terms of, being PR and public facing. I met Vitalik. He's a good guy, but he's just, he's a developer, right? And so it has all the pieces of the puzzle, but why doesn't it have the crowd around it that I would say, yeah, Solana and Ethereum are your two biggest main layer ones? Why doesn't, Sonic have that yet? It's simply because there's not that many VCs that they let in early compared to the other ones, right? So especially now that Wall Street and VCs are running this cycle because they're the ones with the money, and right now retail doesn't have that much money to come into the market. They're kind of like the tastemakers right now, and Sonic's not in their best interest yet. Now, Andre could change that, but that's also the reason why you don't see Sonic or Phantom having come up, into the top 20. And I don't actually expect it to. If it got to like 15, I'd be really shocked, and it's probably an area to probably look to sell. But yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, it's going to probably, in terms of adoption, lag behind everything else for quite a while. But, right, if, Solana, Ethereum and stuff were to ever really falter a lot, I think then, yeah, it could start attracting a lot more users. But it's kind of funny to me, we talk to a lot of different companies and people, especially in the Ethereum side of crypto. And I mentioned Sonic to them a few times in the last few months, and they were like, what? What's that? I'm like, are you serious? Like, there are professionals in this space who have not heard about it yet, which is absolutely insane to me. But they all know Andre Krohn, right? So as soon as you mentioned, oh, it's run by Andre, they're like, okay, great. So it's not that they're unwilling to accept it or to try to use it from, the whale side, but they're just not specifically incentivized for that yet. Once I would say, man, it'd be kind of interesting to see how it's adopted. I mean, it's kind of having its first cycle because Phantom already existed for an entire cycle, did extremely well. It's kind of pressed the reset button a little bit. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how adoption happens over the time. But I think long term, you're going to see there's going to be VC Wall Street type coins, and then you're going to see crypto DeFi native crypto stuff. So Pulse Chain's on the extreme end of, hey, this is absolutely open source, free for anybody to use and build upon, versus obviously Ripple being, centralized crap, So you're going to get both ends of the spectrum, but I would say Sonic's more towards that open and free side of the curve,
What do you think is gonna take to change that, right? Because when you say that when you talk about Sonic to folks, they're unaware, but you mentioned Andre, they immediately know who Andre is. Do you think that it's just gonna take Andre to reach out like, yo, I'm openly promoting Sonic to, like, obviously he's got a lot of friends in high places. He gets to rub elbows and shake hands with a lot of VCs and stuff like that. Do you think it's just gonna take the impetus is gonna be from Andre to reach out and actually promote Sonic to them so that they can make that connection a lot easier and maybe start diving into it so that it's not just in the back of everybody's mind?
Yeah, you got to get them invested in the network somehow. So one easy way to do that is to get large hedge funds, to buy it up. In order to do that, I mean, they usually need like an extra good price, better than everybody else. They're not going to get that, so it's going to be a little hard to do that, right? But if there's enough action over there, they're going to have it as part of their stable of coins because they can make money on it. They just might not have the inside track on it. So to be honest, giving some whales the inside track on stuff, I mean, that's how a lot of coins grease the wheels. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is just be better and have a lot of people build on your chain, right? If they have the right incentives to build on the chain, then if they come there, they start building on chain, they make a business, now they're invested in, like, they have a similar interest of success, right? And so then they're going to probably buy up the coin a lot more. So that's probably the most effective strategy. And Andre essentially giving some of the fees back to developers and people who are creating apps is a genius move But I think what it's going to do, it's not going to attract the VC builders and those professionals. I think it's going to attract more grassroots type people, or kind of people in between somewhere. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be a slower adoption and stuff like that. But in terms of price, right, it's still going to do similar amount of access to stuff like SUI and others. But I mean, you can see right now, the only money coming into crypto is through Bitcoin ETFs and then through VCs. And so in the last week when Bitcoin pumped, what's the stuff that responded first, right? It's Bitcoin itself, and then SUI responded because basically you have a bunch of whales starting to go heavy into different infrastructure-based projects. Walrus probably being the most recent one. Deep Book a little bit before that, but both of those projects basically like doubled, when Bitcoin went up because of what BlackRock and the other ETFs put in.
Really interesting. I'm wondering if maybe you've seen a correlation between Solana's market cap going up and the amount of VC funding that's put in.
That I haven't looked at actually, but that'd be interesting. The one thing that's always funny about VC money movement is they invest less like Wall Street and more like retail traders. So they tend to follow the trend as well, which actually is very useful for price appreciation.
And here's the other piece of this. Have you looked at that movement from Ethereum in its second cycle, and now Solana's in its second cycle, right? And then SUI as well from the first cycle of Ethereum and Solana. Have you noticed any correlations?
Yeah, that I'd have to look into. I haven't actually looked at that data yet. So, but no, I think that's actually very valid.
Yeah, that is something that I heard a rumor about that, and so that is something that I want to go look into. And I think, that we should all probably do a show on that. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? Because like when money dries up in retail, which is what's happening in crypto right now, which is why it's kind of like, it's kind of like, okay, what's new? Not much. When that stuff starts happening, like you said, like researching that type of stuff is the most important because, follow the money, right? And that's where the money's at right now.
Excellent. All right, gentlemen, we are going to take a quick break real quick here to talk to the good folks at home. Folks, if you have any questions for all of us or the man of the hour, please go ahead and put them in the chats down below. But will you do us the honors?
You're muted, sir.
I'm muted. There we go. It's time for chat, motherfucking shout outs, ladies and germs. There you go. Look at that. I can press buttons.
There you go. All right, Ms. Producer.
Very sophisticated AI you got there.
Yeah.
Oh, you should see his charts that he draws. There.
Hang on. We can also do some Will's TA right here. I've done some technical analysis for the folks at home, but that's
like
later
Ray
on.
Dalio's what do you call it book? Yeah.
Oh, Changing World Orders. Yeah. Sure. All right, Ms. Producer, let's get it going. Shout out to all the Moongangers that came in here. We got a lot of us tonight, so we got to get through these. All right, up first, good buddy of ours and also fellow Moonganger. We got Centurion54X, aka 54 Cent. He says, "Let's go, Moongang. What's up, D-Gens? Good to see you, buddy." Up next, Farmer J, another Moonganger. Never heard of this Cultivate guy. Huh. We got the #1 crypto cheerleader in the space, Tam Tam. What's up, fam? Good to see you, Tam Tam. As always, thanks for stopping by. Silent Goldie saying last, not first, but last. There you go. Amber Simone, hello to you as well. Bull whale, let's go. That's the best kind of whale right there. Hexus, Moongang coming in. That's right. You guys absolutely blew up the chat even before we started. It was wild. Pit Trucker 92, the Moongang is coming to the shows to show support. Let's go. Much appreciated. Really appreciate it, guys. Mr. AZ, there you go, Jay. You got a neighbor over there. He says, "What's good?" Shout out to Arizona and all the guys over there. Moonpole Rational Optics, good buddy. Moongang inbound. And a good friend of ours over here shows up quite often. Always appreciate the support. Cesar Gomez showing support, giving that thumbs up. If you know, you know. King Oh gosh, King and Kua Moon Gang. There you go. Vic Bish, nice username as well. I always see you over on Charlie and Miguel streams as well. Good to see you here. Crypto Manny, Moon Gang is up with the 7. Lucky 7 as always. Mr. Angry Twinkie, good buddy of ours. He says this will be a good one. We're trying to put on a fantastic show for you guys tonight, so very excited for it. By the way, I hear Mr. Angry Twinkie might be presenting at a Hex Quattro Synchro conference coming up May 5th or 6th over at RH Max's channel, so you can catch him there, or on Tacos and Kimchi with other good buddy of ours, Boogie. Yeah, Fit Trucker, there you go. Twinkie, he's got the inside scoop. If you want inside scoop on AI stuff, go check out Twinkie. He's got great stuff. Did a really good stream with RH Max, by the way, on that. Tracy G, Moon Gang, let's go. Diamond Hand Degenerate Gang. Ooh, that's a good kind of degenerate there. I like that. Jemmy, happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday to you too, Jemmy. Glad you catch the show. Good to see you again. Juan Garcia, sup, Moon Gang. Jeez, these keep coming. Oh my gosh. All right. Home Skillet, Moon Gang representing. I believe that's the Red Pill Lions NFT for the profile picture. Oh, everyone's favorite, Funkmaster Hex. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Good evening to you, sir. With the drink, as always. Keegan27, what's up? AZW intro. Hey, much appreciated. Trying to make it fun for everybody. Hex Glenn in the house. Good to see you again, my man. Ray, Charlie, aka the Yoda of crypto. How do you feel about that one?
Patient you must be.
There you go. There's a reason it's called a 4-year cycle. Patience is required. Awan K, multiple times. Ooh, another good friend and fellow Moonganger, BLX, Black Label Expat. He says, what'd it do? I know our international man of mystery is out traveling the globe right now, so good to see you, man. Hope you're doing very, very well. Oh, Corey Geary, part of the Hexian Pulse Chain side of the house with DeFi Crypto Alliance. He says, good evening, Pulskins. Good to see you, sir. Double One, Moon Gang is accounted for. Oh, yeah, you guys are accounted for. The roster sheet is going to the second page at this point. A flock of 74 Moon Gang invasion. That is accurate. That is accurate. All right. All right, we're out of breath. That was a lot. Excellent. Folks, thank you so much for showing up. We're going to be putting on a great show for you tonight with excellent special guest Charlie, who, again, we greatly appreciate his time every time he spends it here with us. But outside of that, we do have something a little fun prepared for the show. So, Mrs. Producer, if you don't mind, I do have a screen share for you. All right, gentlemen, it's time to make some old-fashioned YouTube clickbait. We got a tier list. So, specifically, I designed this tier list for the man of the hour, Charlie. You know, I believe you are a technical analysis expert. I mean, hell, you taught most of us here how to do it. So it made a little gauntlet of various items, tools, and even some of the actual like TradingView, DexScreener, CoinGecko kind of things. We're going to make a tier list here. They are paired into 3s, and I've tried to make them all somewhat similar. And I'm going to make it a little hard on you. You can't put they all got to go in their own tier in the trio. Okay. So I'll give you an example. Up first, we have CoinGecko, DexScreener, and TradingView. And of all of our charting tools, how do we feel about these 3?
So basically, you're going to give me these things in different groups, like the hourly, daily, and weekly. Let's say, and obviously that's it's a what do you call it? Same group. And so then anywhere within there, the tier, basically S tier being top and F being bottom.
There you go. You got it. Please feel free to elaborate. Give us the pros, cons. We'll cut it up with you as well. What we like, what we don't like. We'll see where we end up at the end of this. Should be fun.
I like that.
All right. So up first, our first 3, we have the actual tools themselves: CoinGecko, DexScreener, and TradingView. How do you feel about these guys?
Yeah. So it's interesting to kind of like you said, to have to put them in different rankings, stuff like that. So, I mean, okay, I'll give weaknesses first, right? Because obviously they're all tools that we use, right? So the weakness of CoinGecko is that, well, the people behind it, right, aren't going to include every single coin in there, right? So something on DexScreener, you have the opposite problem, which is you're going to have every freaking coin on there, right? I think that's more of a problem for top caps, which you're not really going to Dex Screener to look at the Bitcoin price. So CoinGecko is probably a better tool for top caps. So like if I'm looking at like, what do you call it, top 50 cryptocurrencies, I would say CoinGecko is the best. Then TradingView, because you can have a lot of the different tools. Yeah, so I'd give CoinGecko A tier because they still got to up their game. And then I would say TradingView is B and Dex Screener C for top cap coins. For low caps, it's for low caps, I would say Dex Screener is S tier, right? Because it is the best place to look for low cap coins overall in crypto right now, I would say. So for degens, right, because we're on the degen roundtable, right? Dex Screener would be the #1 tool. And Dex Screener is often underutilized. There's a lot of aspects to it that are awesome, that are way better than TradingView because you get on-chain data as well with Dex Screener, right? So Dex Screener would be your S tier for low caps. And it would be, I would say, for low caps, CoinGecko would then be B tier, and then TradingView for low caps is C, something like that. So, yeah, it just depends on kind of what you're using the tool for, obviously.
Fair enough, gentlemen. What do we think about this for this ranking?
I would definitely agree with Dex Screener because you get a lot of the LP pools in there. However, I do got another one here. What about Gecko Terminal?
It's okay. I mean, it's like your B tier Dex Screener, right? Because it's trying to do the same thing, but then I mean, I guess I haven't looked enough into what are the biases of Dex Screener yet, because I haven't seen too many obvious, like, what do you call it? Police activities where they're trying to like silence a community or anything like that, versus on CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap, you see that kind of stuff all the time, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I agree with Charlie's analysis when it comes to, I go to Dex Screener when it comes to the degenerate stuff. For the top cap assets, I go to CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap actually, but CoinGecko is my preference. But as far as like the charting website, bro, the quality of life that TradingView gives you in order to like just saving folders, saving indicators, it's like, I've spoken about this on stream multiple times. I hate that you can't save work in folders on Dex Screener and organize them the same way that you can in TradingView. So the quality of life improvements that TradingView gives you as a charting website, it's like, it's not even close between any other charting website that I've ever used. So if we're talking about charting strictly, like TradingView is going to be S tier for me. And Dex Screener, bro, I've tried to be patient with charting on Dex Screener. It's not fun. It's not an F tier.
I would agree with that, and I would say, what do you call it? Like I wish like every asset in crypto that's on Dex Screener was available on TradingView, because right then I could apply different things to it, like the Cultivate crypto algo, for example. Right, simple tool, really nice to use. We built it ourselves though, and TradingView allows you to do that very easily. But like you said, saving stuff or doing that stuff on Dex or on Dex Screener is just not really it. And I mean, if you look at TradingView, it's a business. It has more server, information to be able to save all that. Dex Screener is really, still a startup, so it's definitely got a long ways to go in that aspect for sure. So yeah, I would agree with that. Also, I mean, on TradingView, right, they got all the traditional market assets, right, which is mainly the people who are using it, and so yeah, they require more sophistication for sure.
Yeah, excellent. All right, on to the next three. Let's talk about time frames. So if we're talking about crypto charts, we have the hourly chart, the daily chart, and the weekly chart.
Weekly S tier, baby.
Weekly is S tier. Okay.
The weekly is underrated. I mean, if I were to say I have no other time frame to look at for any coin, like I only have to choose one, it has to be weekly. For Bitcoin, if you get up to the 2 weeks, sometimes useful, or the monthly is useful, but that's usually too high time frame because it's still an early stage asset, right? So you have a lot more volatility, so you need to go to the lower time frame than that high time frame. But if you go down to, let's say, the daily and hourly, you're just going to get lost in the weeds more than anything, and you're not really going to understand the main trend that's happening. So weekly, pretty much on every asset in crypto, and if you're talking about degen assets, right, you have to you have to wait 6 months before you have like a decent pattern to be able to trade it. Now you can invest in it early if you have all the fundamentals there, but in terms of trading or charting and that type of stuff, the weekly is basically going to tell you most of the story with everything in crypto in terms of what's important for the long term.
Love it. All right, we got two more.
Yeah. And then I guess, I guess I don't want to do this to the hourly, but I guess I want to put it on F tier.
All right.
Just because it fucks people over more than anything. Day trading, don't do it. But the only reason why I would say maybe C level is because the 8 hour and the 12 hour on Bitcoin specifically, and sometimes if I'm being degen, I'm looking at the 4 hour. The only time I ever look at the 1 hour chart ever is literally if I need to gain a position that day and I want a slightly better price. But is that going to really affect the long-term trajectory or success of what you're buying? Not really. So let's keep that hourly on F just for the fun of it.
For
but
people getting wrecked.
Daily is A, because that's what's gonna get you through the short-term volatility.
I like it. I know personally, I think Jay has been working with the hourly chart a bit more to actually look at some of the Elliott wave structures. But me personally, I spend the majority of my time on the daily chart, especially because I'm a pretty big 60-day cycle guy, and I feel like that's where I get the most holistic view of that kind of tool with that kind of time frame. So that's what I got. Gentlemen, what do you think?
I would have to agree with Charlie and UZ here. When I started, after I started doing my own thing, after 4 times through the crypto mindset course, I stayed predominantly on daily and weekly and the monthly charts, right? Because like Charlie teaches us, when in doubt, zoom out. You can't get a big picture perspective of the overall trend of an asset like Bitcoin if you're too focused on the daily timeframes and below, right? And obviously as a 60-day cycle analyst, Lucas cycle analyst, you stay on the daily chart because 60-day cycles, yeah. But for those that at the DGen Roundtable, you guys know predominantly I use a combination of both Lucas cycles, and I am a primarily Elliott wave analyst, right? So like Charlie says, if you go down to the hourly charts and below, you're going down degenerate timeframes. As an Elliott wave analyst, that's how I practice becoming hyper competent in Elliott waves, because it allows me to analyze local structures. Right, you can't really analyze local structures if you're zoomed out on the monthly and the weekly chart, right? So I would say if you're practicing Elliott waves, practice on the lower time frames. But even then, I wouldn't use it unless you're a day trader, right? And I do some day trading, so I get down to the super degenerate time frames like 15-minute, 5-minute, 3-minute. Shaking his head. No, don't worry, sir. I made it through.
How much leverage is my only question.
I have never gone higher than like 10x leverage, because first I learned this early on. So market makers or exchanges tend to habitually fill the lower leverage positions and habitually wreck the higher leverage positions. So I don't venture into anything too crazy. And plus, like I said, I made it to every single risk management webinar in the 4 courses that I took. And so I took that very seriously. So I have my stop losses in place. I don't stay in losing trades. I keep my leverage at a minimum. And so the goal is to always win more than you lose. And then you're a profitable trader. And, thank goodness that I took your courses with Miguel 4 times over, because you guys definitely drilled that into my head. So thank goodness, profitable trader, even on degenerate timeframes.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like if you're able to kind of iterate your learning, on charting specifically, like the bad thing about the hourly is, right, it's not very reliable. right? So you're going to probably see patterns be a little bit more wonky. It's kind of like when you go down to deck screen and you're on low cap coins, stuff, breaks the rules more than it doesn't a lot of the time. And so but being able to one thing I don't like, right, is trading with not real money, so like paper trading. And when you're what do you call it? I would say I don't like paper trading. I don't like the hourly that much, but if you're paper trading to learn stuff and iterating on the hourly to do so, to kind of learn charting, and especially for candlestick patterns and different types of patterns like that, mostly I would say price-based tools, then yeah, I would agree 100%.
Excellent. All right, let's get going on to our next trio here. We got some moving averages. We have our 20-day, our 50-day, and our 200-day.
Say it again.
20, 50, and 200-day for our moving averages.
And are we referencing this to Bitcoin specifically? Probably.
Sure. Yeah, let's go for that one.
Okay. 50, 220. Well, I guess, okay. Let's put the 20-day as A tier, because if you take it on any time frame, that's your pivot point, right? That's your middle Bollinger Band. So pretty much on every time frame, the 20 moving average is arguably the most useful. The only reason why I don't put it on S tier is just because the 20 week is better than the 20-day for Bitcoin, specifically in terms of major pattern trends. But the 200, our
long-term indicator there.
B, exactly. I would agree. I'd say B, because yeah, it's a very good long-term area where if we come down to it, it tends to be good support. If you go below it, that's a good area in a bear market to buy and stuff like that. So yeah, the 200-day moving average is nice. The 50, C. If I have to rank them like that, I give 50 C. And it's not that it's bad or anything. It's just, you got the death cross and different stuff like that with the 50 and 200 together. But 50 usually needs a partner. Just by itself, it's not going to tell you too much.
Fair enough. All right, tell you what, let's keep it going real quick.
Yeah, if you want to give me a time limit on them too, by all means.
Sorry, what was that?
I said if you want to time me on it, count down a timer, give me 2 minutes or something. I could go lightning round if you need to.
We might do that for some of them. Tell you what, let's got more of a momentum indicator here. We have the MACD, the RSI, and the Bollinger Bands.
Bollinger Bands here, automatic.
Okay.
If you use nothing else in your tool set, if you let's say you're only to be a weekly trader on Bollinger Bands, you'll make money. Bollinger Bands are one of the easier tools to use as well. So it's super friendly for beginners. And yeah, John Bollinger doesn't get enough credit, I think, for really, really discussing it. It's just super simple. It's not even that complex, but it works on everything. You can use it in crypto. You can use it in Forex. You can use it in stocks. You can literally use it on everything. The MACD, let's give it I'm going to give it an F just for the lulz. I could probably say C tier, but I don't even use MACD at all. The only reason why it lags too goddamn much. But that being said, right, if you're trying to confirm a trend, let's say you're using Elliott waves like Jay Schroth there, and you're hey, I really see this pattern. MACD can help you confirm that. So that's why I say maybe C, but let's give it F for the lulz. RSI, solid B. Use it all the time. B.
Sorry.
Yeah. Use it all the time. Super useful. It's just it is more of a I always say there's the four sets of your trading toolbox or your charting toolbox, which is basically time, price, trend, and momentum. You could pretty much boil every tool down to one of those four categories. And RSI is, kind of your momentum indicator. So most of those are used for confirmation more than anything. But the cool thing about RSI is, and the reason why it's better than the MACD is because it also, the divergences on there is kind of like your little hidden tool that a lot of people talk about, but sometimes, until something gets trending on crypto Twitter as being obvious of a pattern, like you can see stuff happen with RSI a little bit before the rest of the crowd.
Yeah, fair enough. Gentlemen, any thoughts?
So for this one in particular, in terms of momentum, I do like the RSI. I barely use the MACD. I use the RSI on a regular basis, but my favorite momentum indicator is actually a day trading one. It's best used on the 15 to 5 minute, 3 minute time frame. It's the let's see, what is it? It's what's the appropriate name for it?
Yeah, if you keep this up, Charlie's never coming back with these time frames.
It's the cumulative volume delta. That one I like better because it gives you an indication of what's happening both in the spot markets to take into consideration not just the spot buys but also like the limit orders, which is in the lower time frames. It's really perfect at identifying shifts in momentum when you get those divergences within the cumulative volume deltas and the price action, right? For those of you who've been catching the streams, not just on our flagship shows, but the Telegram streams, we take a look at that whenever we do TA, and the gang's gotten some pretty damn good entry positions over the past the past few months. So we can't complain there. So my favorite one's actually not here, but if I was to rank order this, I'm like Charlie. I don't even look at the MACD. RSI all day. Yeah,
I like that. That's, volume. I usually like what do you call it? Don't use volume too much, but that's the perfect way to use it. And like we said with the hourly, right? Like if you're trying to enter a position on something, like awesome, extremely useful.
All right, we're gonna jump ahead real quick here. I got total market cap, the others three, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, and Bitcoin dominance. Talking about some of our non-price charts. How do we feel about these guys?
Let's see here. I'm gonna do the unpopular thing and say Bitcoin dominance is C.
Okay.
I'm gonna send this clip to Ben, Charlie.
What?
I'm gonna send this clip to Ben Cohen.
Yes, perfect. So Bitcoin dominance is good and all, but like, what do Bitcoiners even use it for? They're like, Bitcoin's the best, and you're like, you guys do know that when Bitcoin dominance goes down, that's when Bitcoin has its best runs, right? Like, I any Bitcoiner out there who says like, hey, Bitcoin dominance is up, that's why Bitcoin's awesome, is stupid. And like, what do you call it? The only ones who like basically run into that narrative, who aren't stupid, right, are trying to push a narrative basically. So, it's useful, but it is like, if we're going to compare it to other stuff, it's kind of like the MACD. It is lagging, right? Like by the time we're in an alt season and we see Bitcoin dominance go down, is pretty freaking obvious. Because it takes weeks for that to happen, right? The other two are kind of close. I would say I'm going to put the other three as S tier. A lot of people don't look at it. A lot of people don't notice what the altcoins are doing by themselves, right? And so that is extremely useful to kind of pick up on alt seasons before everybody else really agrees that we're in one. And then, especially for DJs, that's amazing, right? And then total market cap has to be A. I would say could argue S as well, because that's pretty much what the whales are looking at for the most part. So you're gonna see some psychological things on those charts that the whales will work into, but a lot of people really, because it's kind of too simple, sometimes people ignore it.
Fair enough. Tell you what, all right, let's go one more triple. I'll leave it to you guys. Do you want to do trend theories? That's going to be Elliott wave theory, Fibonacci levels, and box breakout theory, or cycles? We have the 4-year cycle, 60-day cycles, or Bob Lucas cycles, and the global liquidity cycle.
Got to be cycles. That's Charlie.
Yeah, I was going to say do cycles, man.
All right. Let's talk about some cycles here.
All right. So cycles wise, man, it's like you have to choose between your children, you know? It's like,
that's where it's fun.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, we're in this market for the tech, right? You got to go and you're going to be like, which one's going to make you the most money? And they're all going to make you money. So like, yeah, they all technically are S tier because you can't be in the crypto market without paying attention to all of them. That being said, you know, what's the tail? What's the dog, right? Global liquidity cycles are the dog. So global liquidity cycles have to be S tier. And the more crypto gets adopted, the more Bitcoin is going to follow that more closely. Sometimes, you know, Bitcoin can move, well, in the past, it could move separate from that a little bit. It usually stuck with it pretty good, but it could go off of the beaten path a little bit because it's low cap. But once it's, you know, pretty heavy, it's basically going to be following that, like, what do you call it? Other risk on assets. And then 60-day cycles is A because it gives you an edge. Nobody else in crypto except for Bob Lucas really pays attention to it in any depth. So, which I find astounding. If we talk about those 4 sectors, right, of your trading toolbox being, again, time, price, momentum, and trend, look at what people in crypto use, right? In our course, we try to get you guys to be well-rounded individuals when it comes to trading fundamentals and on-chain. But when you look at everybody in crypto, everybody uses support resistance, which is price-based tools. Smart. You got to start there. But most people in crypto, they don't advance into, you know, like other parts of market analyzation. They kind of get stuck with the simple shit. Or they don't want to tell people about the more complex stuff. So shout out to Bob Lucas for coming up, you know, and figuring out the 60-day cycles for sure, because extremely useful, gives you an actual edge in the market. And I hope more people don't pay attention to it, because then the edge remains, right? The 4-year cycle, B, I mean, because like I said, they could all be S tier. So it's just slower moving, but it's the most misunderstood of the 3 for sure. I mean, I would say all of them are really misunderstood because, again, people have a hard time with time analysis. They have a really easy time with price analysis. They have an okay time with trend and momentum, but I don't know why. Like, I guess this might be like a question to kind of consider, you know, or something, but it's just like, I don't know why people don't pay attention to time. Because I mean, there's the what do you call it, presupposition, or, you know, thoughts that people have, which is, well, you can't time the market, you're never going to be able to figure that out, so why even try? That's probably what most people are thinking in the back of their minds, or subconsciously, I would guess. So maybe that's why cycles aren't as paid attention to. But if you look at everything in the universe, they all have cycles on everything. So why wouldn't you pay attention to that? But hey, you know, it makes more money for us.
Very true. Gentlemen, what do you think about the cycles?
For this one in particular, so if I were to look at it from a perspective of like different types of traders, swing trader perspective, 60-day cycles, hands down S tier. But if I was to look at it from like a hodler's perspective, buy at the bottom of the bear market, sell at the top of the bull market, then the 4-year cycle can't go wrong. And then from that perspective, I'd put it in S tier instead of 60-day cycles. Global liquidity cycle, I think, belongs in S tier regardless, because like Charlie mentioned, markets are extremely tightly correlated by that global liquidity cycle. And so they all tend to follow each other with very short periods of time when they might decorrelate, but eventually they all align once again. And so ignoring the global liquidity cycle, I think, is foolish, no matter what kind of analyst you are. But if I had to pick my favorite and put it on the S tier, it'll be 60-day cycles. I'm in agreement with Charlie. I don't know why people don't pay attention to it a lot more. I guess because, like you said, right, Charlie, the difficulty curve. You know, my mentor for Elliott Wave theory, he's a strict Elliott Wave analyst, and I told him, like, bro, if you incorporated the Lucas cycles into your analysis, you'd be like undefeated, because he has a high hit ratio with his trading already, just as being a strict Elliott wave analyst, using simple support and resistance, et cetera. Because I've noticed in particular, because those are my two tools that I use the most. When we get to like the tail ends of 60-day cycles, it also happens to align with points in time in market structure where it starts to become corrective. So I'm like, oh, at the tail end of a 60-day cycle, market structure is shifting from an impulsive structure to a corrective structure. Kind of lines up with itself. It makes timing entries a lot easier. So if I had to like insert my bias, it would be Elliott. It would be 60-day cycles S tier all the way.
Yeah, real quick, I'm actually kind of the opposite of you, Jay, because I'm not exactly like a super TA guy, right? So 60-day cycles are not really my thing. Instead, I'm more of a hodler of a 4-year cycle, where if something looks super cheap for me, I'll go and I'll buy it and be like, all right, I'll wait for it to go up. This is where the fundamentals of what's the community doing, what's being built on the chain, things like that are more vital for me than how's the chart performance. And obviously you need everything, right? But some people specialize in other things. I gotta say though, global liquidity cycle, I mean, that is all the money basically, right? And where is that money flowing at? So I would have to put that in S tier, and then I would just simply flip the 4-year and the 60-day.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Since we're on the topic of the 4-year cycle, people in the Moon Gang, us over here at the DGen Roundtable, a lot of us are market cycle practitioners, so we follow the 4-year cycle pretty closely. And I know you've mentioned this several times in the course and on your streams about how cycles don't exactly repeat the same way; they rhyme. But it seems like this 4-year cycle has just given everybody whiplash. We've had an all-time high before the halving occurred. We headed into Q4 of the halving year, where since inception we've always had a green Q4 on the halving year. That or like the Santa rally in the halving year, that didn't happen. We just had the worst Q1 in the post halving year of Bitcoin's history. The crypto market in general is now in a state where, obviously, we've been in a period where crypto has experienced like tight monetary policy, right? Back around 2019, but now we're in an extended period of time where the Fed is tight with policy. Interest rates are still highly elevated. There's high uncertainty in the market when it comes to not just war in the literal sense between Russia, Ukraine, Israel and Palestine, and then obviously the trade wars with Trump. It seems like everybody's being thrown into whiplash in this particular 4-year cycle. What are your thoughts on the current health of the 4-year cycle? It actually holding, right? And what are the chances that it actually breaks?
It won't break. So that's the first thing, and I'll tell you one reason why. That's mainly because cycles morph; they don't break, right? So if the 4-year cycle breaks, what will need to happen is it will need to shift into 6, 8, 10, 12-year cycles, 16-year, 20-year, whatever, you're going to kind of look at. Obviously, if it's 4-year cycles already established, usually something within similar, like it'd probably be an even number, most likely, and it'd probably be like 6 or 8, right? Maybe 10. But like it's not going to shift from a 4-year to a 10-year cycle like over 1 year or something like that, most likely. So I'd guess like 6 or 8, right? Probably like 6. I mean, it could go to like an odd number like 5 or something if it just shifted slightly. But what we saw with the 60-day cycle, and I was shocked when we did this actually, we back tested it right all the way back to Bitcoin's inception. Excuse me, all the way back to Bitcoin's inception. In terms of all the data that we'd get off exchange, I think that was maybe like till about 2011, something like that. And the thing we found in the data, which is crazy because we taught the algo how to basically read 60-day cycles, and it backtested it and showed you every cycle low back until 2011. And what it showed us was in 2015, I have to go back and check the date exactly, but in 2015, we shifted from 40 to 60-day cycles, which I did not expect at all. But I
Okay.
was trying to basically validate what Bob Lucas had done. Right? I'm like, okay, if it's valid, then if you're backtesting data, you should be able to. That should be easier than applying it to the future, right? And it worked perfectly as pretty much because like the way I learned it was more intuitive, right? Like I'd followed it so much, I had all the rules set in my head, and so when I had to explain it, to make the algo and everything, I was, to somebody else, I was just like, oh, interesting. This is exactly how I view it, and that's how I've taught it in the course as well, actually. But yeah, I would say that was interesting. And the reason why it shifted by about 20 days is because if you go back to Walter Bressert, who is, the leader of, I would say, market cycles in terms of how they're viewed today, Bob Lucas has basically, told me that's where, he basically found the idea for how he's going to build a cycle and how he's going to recognize that within Bitcoin. And within Walter Bressert's stuff, it basically says the stock market and most assets run on 20-day cycles. And so my guess, with the 60-day cycles, if it were to shift, it would be, a half cycle of 30 days or a denomination of 20. So either 80 or 90 days if it ever shifted again. But the fact that the 4-year cycle still stayed while the 60-day cycle shifted is also interesting because your daily, your weekly, and your yearly is going to act differently. And they're not always going to inform one another, which is interesting. So yeah, my guess is like 5 or 6 years is what it would morph to if it did. So I think that's the biggest misunderstanding most people have on cycles is that they don't really break. They just morph into something else. But I guess maybe that's just semantics too.
We're
So
we've been trying to crunch the data on some of the 60-day cycle stuff over here. And I've been trying to, it's funny, you talked about not enough people are paying attention to the Bob Lucas stuff, but I tried putting another layer on it by actually applying normal distributions to it to see if we can like gauge probabilities for where we think the majority of cycles are going to fall. One of the things that I found in the data was that it seems like our average distribution is about like 9-10 days. And the more data I put into it, that distribution actually got wider. Meaning we started to see more of those outlier cycles, like really out there at like the 42, 41, 40 days, and even all the way up to like the 80-day point. So I was trying to gauge in my mind where I was trying to identify that shift from the 40 to 60 days, but 2015. Okay. That's good to know.
And I don't know how, like, I've never experienced that type of cycle shift, like in real time. So my question would be, how long does it take to recognize that shift? Because that's what really would give you an edge, right? If you can recognize that shift, if it's on the yearly cycle, let's say like on the 4-year cycle, right? If you could recognize that within 6 months, you're probably going to be ahead of the entire industry.
Yeah.
True. Mrs. Producer, if you don't mind, I do have a quick screen share here. Final point on the 60-day stuff from me, and I promise. So I did throw together a slide deck just compiling all my information. But one of the things I want to point out real quick is that I think trying to do any sort of like hardcore data analysis on the 60-day cycles is rough to do because we don't have enough of a sample size yet.
Right.
And if you try to go further back, it's just going to skew your data. So specifically, I look at these things called Z-scores. Z-scores use our probabilities based on where you fall in the bell curve based on standard distributions. And then you can basically go to a table and figure out what probability is going to be wherever it is. But then you can also use sample size to try to generate your data sets. And one of the craziest things is that Bitcoin started in January of 2009, which is almost 6,000 days ago, aka we only have 99 possible 60-day cycles. Granted, that's not taking into account the 40-day cycle stuff. But even at 92 or 99-ish data points, our margin of error is still very, very high. So if we go down to the 100 column, that means that if you have a total sample size of 100 and you want to have 95% confidence and have one of these margins of error, this is how many data points you would have to put into your own category to properly account for the 100 that you're looking at. So in order to get within 5% margin of error on a 95% confidence ratio, you'd have to have 80 cycles as your starting point, which means you can only discard 20 of them. So at this point, I think that we're super early in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because by the time you get to that sample size, you lose your edge if people are paying attention to it, right? Yeah. Also, you only need to be right 55% of the time.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh.
True. Alrighty, we'll tell you what. We did want to shift away from the technical talk as much as we'd love to nerd out about with you, but we do want to ask you. So, you and Miguel have been doing crypto mindset course now for what are you guys at? Like 20 something?
Yeah, I'm starting to lose count actually. Like
I know.
I'm like, I think we're at like 16 or like 17,
Okay.
I guess. But yeah, I'd have to go back and double check. But yeah, we have way too many goddamn chats, that's for sure. Like I have a whole folder in Telegram just of, CMC chats.
There you go. Alrighty. So I imagine the course is probably still going to continue. Are you looking to expand in any certain direction? What kind of cool stuff are you looking forward to in the future?
I mean, the biggest thing that's going to shift our business this year and going into the next 4-year cycle is AI. So utilizing AI in as many creative ways as possible. I'm like, I haven't talked about this on my channel at all, but just kind of a little funny thing that I'm doing with AI in particular, right? We've always joked that Somi, might be an AI because of how much he posts on Twitter. Some people,
Man is a machine.
Oh yeah, and people, just for the lulz, say like, hey, is sometimes Charlie and Miguel are doing too many streams. Are they real? Is it AI? Right? So, we are going to create an AI Charlie / Cultivate Crypto bot to some extent, and I don't know how successful it will be yet, but in the ideal form, one thing that I would like it to be able to do is to be able to basically understand the last, let's say, up to the last quarter of information that I've mentioned on YouTube publicly, and then be able to answer questions based on that. And we may have AI Charlie giving consultations at some point this year, but that's if it works, right? If it doesn't work, well, it's just an idea.
That's a hell of an idea. I'm not gonna lie,
bro. That's fucking phenomenal though. Like you can build an FAQ out of that, like because you're gonna get like the noobs asking the same fucking questions over and over and over again.
You do not know how similar every single consultation is with most people. It's like 90% the same, right? Like everybody has the same questions and everything. And it's not that I mean, I love doing them because I get to meet everybody one-on-one, face-to-face. You kind of, really understand people a lot better and you get a lot of market research too. But yeah, like, there's also like, I mean, because we have to raise our consultation rates in order to like respect our time and be able to do stuff in the business. There's a lot of people that would like to have a lot of those types of questions answered that don't get a chance to unless they're super chatting on the show, and they're catching us live. So that bot, I think it solves a lot of different things like that.
Dude, that is genius. I love that. And somebody, man, I was talking to someone earlier. I think it was Tracker actually. I was talking to Tracker, one of the other degens, and we were talking about like a Joe Rogan lexicon of like someone could just take all of the Joe Rogan stuff, turn it into a university. Basically, you guys could do something similar. I don't know what kind of tools exist out there, but like you guys have a lot of content between you and Miguel. You guys have talked about a lot of things and you understand a lot of stuff going on. So if you can find a way to like document that and turn it into like your own little Cultivate Crypto Wikipedia or like the CMC like lexicon of answers and stuff, dude, that'd be phenomenal. I'm excited to see this, dude.
All for a low price of $39.99.
Well, and it also scales too. Like you no longer have to spend your attention on the low level problems. You can focus on the higher ones, and then that'll in turn build out other problem solving solutions. So, bro, that's genius. Absolutely. That is phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, AI is gonna like if you're using it to get better at whatever you're doing. Like people, there's gonna be people who use AI and the people who don't, and the people who don't are gonna be forced to use it. It's the same with crypto. Those two things are something that everybody needs to be learning about for sure, but it is difficult, right? It's all like a experimental ground.
While we're on the AI topic, how do you think that this is turning out to be an AI cycle for crypto or not as much? It seems like based on what we've seen, the ETFs have just been dominant.
It's the birth of AI in crypto. It's kind of like NFTs were the birth last cycle. I expected NFTs to come back somewhat, but damn, they are dead.
Yeah.
But I think they will come back a little bit. I think they will come back at some point this year, but yeah, it's going to require some highly speculative markets for that. But yeah, yeah, I've been streaming for like 5 hours now. So I just like my brain just spaced. I'm like, what was the question again? God damn.
That's why you need the AI.
Exactly.
Perfect.
So,
All right, we'll tell you. Go for it, Nate.
I did have one more question because you guys have done so many of these mindset courses. Is there anything in particular that has surprised you that you've learned from talking with so many people, helping so many people, and obviously doing all these courses?
Yeah. I guess it's like, do you want to be glass half full type answer or glass half empty? I guess I'm gonna go. But
Maybe a little bit of both.
the thing that like has surprised me the most about this in my entire YouTube channel business and everything is I guess how like I mean if you look at human nature, it makes sense at a whole, but how much people really are not like they're mostly just lemmings and followers, and they spew the same garbage that they're taught, which is I thought, hey, you wake a lot of people up and you're going to get a lot of people, you can get the majority of your community to kind of open their eyes on a lot of stuff and do things differently. But the main problem is most people want to be spoon fed because, they don't have a lot of time, which makes sense, right? They're busy and everything. So, yeah, I just wish that, more people would probably take up a lot of the stuff that we do teach, because man, do we fucking hand it out on a silver platter. It's just like what you guys are doing. That's why I like what you guys are doing, because it's awesome and you guys are actually taking the bulls by the horns, right? But just the majority of people out there want to hear a Jim Cramer. They want to hear like, what should I do? Tell me exactly what to do. A to Z or whatever. They're like very binary. They have no complexity of thought, even when you teach them. And like, that sounds terrible. Like, it doesn't sound very nice, right? Like, I'm not like, I don't know, but like, that's just been my experience. And the one thing I would say is there were people who told me, yeah, like, what do you call it? The internet will basically kind of cause you to lose a little bit of faith in humanity when you start a business on it. And not untrue a little bit, So like, that's the glass half empty. Because I think like, we give, because they're never going to get 100% hit rate, but I think we give enough information for 80% of people to have outsized success.
Yes.
But Pareto principle still takes effect, and for some reason it's like 20%. So I wish it were higher, but most people just won't put in the work. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right, Charlie. I know you said it might sound mean, but it's just the truth. In my own personal experience, and I'm sure the rest of the gang can echo here. Whenever I've mentored somebody myself, whether it's in crypto or in my like other endeavors, there's a very small percentage of people who will actually take into consideration like the free stuff that you give on YouTube. You don't even have to take the crypto mindset course, right? You give out a lot of information on YouTube for free on a day-to-day basis that people could use as a starter kit. But even using that,
the smartest thing I ever saw somebody do, and it wasn't even the guy who was particularly smart, right? He was like, before the consultation, he was like, hey bro, I was just on a 2-week road trip. I literally listened to the last like 2 to 3 months of your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And now I have relevant questions to ask you. I'm like, that's genius. And it's super simple, doesn't take it, but it takes effort, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I think, it's not really, a lot of people ask, and I've heard a lot of folks ask this of Gary Vee, like he's a big entrepreneur up in New York, and they ask him like, why do you give all of this stuff away for free on YouTube? And then I thought that the same thing with you and Miguel. I'm like, why do you guys give all this stuff away for free on YouTube? And his answer actually made a lot of sense to me. And he said, it's because I know only a very small percentage of the population is actually going to take that information and like take action with it. Right.
Yep.
So that's why we give a lot of that stuff away for free. And then I was like, yeah, that kind of makes a lot of sense. And then he also said that it's okay if you want to be handheld. I can handhold you through the process.
Yep.
But you're going to have to pay a premium for that handholding.
Well, and like, if you want to go into a really good book about kind of how to structure that, I think it's, what's his name? Richard Branson, the guy who made ClickFunnels. What was the name of that book? God damn it. I could probably Google it here, but basically if you Google value ladder Richard Brunson, ClickFunnels, basically. Can't remember the book off the top of my head, but he has like a series of them. This one has like a red and black cover, I think. But
I think that one might be .com Secrets.
There you go. Yeah. .com Secrets. It's one in that series about the value ladder, like absolutely gold when it comes to, you know, how you structure sales, you know, that you're trying to do, basically, in terms of like within your business.
Love it. Yeah. Looks like we got Expert Secrets, .com Secrets, and Traffic Secrets as the trilogy there.
Yeah, there's the .com one, which is the one that has the most about the value ladder, I think.
Yeah. The underground playbook for growing your company online with sales funnels.
Yeah, they
more question.
Their project for sure.
One more question from me, Charlie. So last cycle, predominantly, it was all about DeFi, right? You had that DeFi summer of 2021 where you threw money, you threw spaghetti at the wall of a DeFi project, and price went up. This cycle is obviously different in many regards. What do you think is going to be the biggest runner in the tail end of this 4-year cycle, right? When risk assets finally starts running, what's the main narrative that's going to be front and center? Is it going to be AI? Because obviously, like the L1 space is now saturated, right? Is it?
Yeah.
Is it still going to be the L1s, the L2s? Is it going to be AI? You think GameFi is going to make a comeback, or is it going to be something else that we haven't thought about? Real world assets, for example.
Yeah, I mean, real world assets is the one that they're gearing up for the most, but I think that will hit more in the next cycle. And I don't think this market has enough speculation to have one of the areas really overtake and be like the craziest one, because I think that just takes a lot of rampant speculation. So it's going to be Bitcoin focused and high cap focused in terms of the stuff that is going to be the easiest to make money on. So that's why I think if you throw anything at Sui, you know, you can make money. Is it, you know, the best crypto out there? Not really. Does it have a lot of money coming into it? And is it playing that L1 safe, you know, investment type thing? Absolutely. So it's not going to be sexy. It's not going to be as many crazy X's as everybody wants, but that's the stuff that's going to be easiest to make money on. So I do think it is still L1s. It's just a select few of them, right? So Solana, Sui, Sonic. That's why recently, you know, me and Miguel have basically said, you know, these ones are the cheapest. They're the best buys. If you're getting into the cycle now, that's kind of where you got to get in. It's not sexy though. Like, I know that's not the answer. People want to hear like it's going to be like a certain type of meme coin degenerate, you know, crazy, you know, this is going to go up 100x type shit, which, you know, those things will happen, but they're not going to be the main focus, you know, in the cycle for sure.
It's like
speaking of sexy, since you're already talking about Sui, did you hear about the rumored potential partnership with the Pokemon company?
Oh yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think it has substance because the companies are legit intertwined for Pokemon Home. Also, I mean, Sony with Sonium and everything is getting into blockchain, so it's not like bad for business. Also, Niantic is not a Pokemon native company. They, you know, helped with IP rights and everything like that to build stuff on top of their IP. So you're going to get a lot of intellectual property stuff, like what do you call it, Ready Player One, with Futureverse and other stuff like that being used. So I wouldn't be surprised if it did. Also, the fact that Sui put out, hey, they put out an article the same day that rumor came out being like, hey, we're literally putting what do you call it, trading card NFT type stuff on our platform, easy to use, you know, like Yu-Gi-Oh cards and monster games. You know, they won't say Pokemon. The fact that they won't say it, you know, is interesting. But let's go glass half empty and say, like, let's say it's just a rumor, right? It's a fucking solid rumor to get people's interest. And like, here's the one thing in terms of narrative, right, that we've been missing this cycle with a lot of stuff. There's not a lot of like substantive rumors that people could actually latch onto for a narrative to actually pump price, right? And they are leveraging the shit out of Sui to get the price to pump. So I bet you its bear market's probably going to be pretty brutal. But in the meantime, yeah, these types of things I think are actually awesome.
What is it? Never brutal.
Oh, it's going to be more brutal than I think. It's going to be like 90 to 95% down from top to bottom. So, you know, take profits.
Don't round trip it, folks. Don't It's not fun. True. All right, Charlie. Really appreciate your time. We're gonna get you out of here shortly, but real quick, for the where can folks find you and what you got going on?
Yeah, you guys can find me mainly on Twitter and on YouTube. So go over to Cultivate Crypto on YouTube. Go to cultivatecrypto.com if you want to speak with me or learn more and potentially see a future Charlie AI. And then what do you call it? Cultivate Crypto on Twitter as well. Cultivate Crypto on everything. Just don't trust, verify. I'll never DM you first. Make sure that you're not following a fake account. A lot of spam accounts on Instagram. So just is what it is. But yeah, that's where you can follow us.
This is producer. If you don't mind, I do have one final screen share. We love Charlie, so we want to give him some love here as well. If you like this content and you want to get more of Charlie, more of the community, you can find it in the Citadel, aka Citadelphia. You can get access, and if for every month you are in there, you get a $50 discount on the upcoming Crypto Mindset course. And I think this is a less sung thing about it, but there's actually a weekly newsletter that comes out. This weekly newsletter is every Sunday night, Monday morning, pretty much, and it covers highly technical information on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a couple other charts of the week that they find as the trending identifiers. And they also have recaps of last week, so you can do a straight delta comparison on that newsletter. This is fantastic, and I don't think you guys talk about it enough. This is the reason that I'm still in the Citadel, other than the monthly access. Then obviously shooting the shit with the boys as always, and seeing all the stuff that we're posting in there. But $100 a month if you want to be in the Citadel. I personally am still in there, and I think it is worthwhile for sure.
Yeah, I would say the newsletter is one of the better ones in crypto, to be honest.
Hands down.
Yeah. Again, it's like, you only get like the Pareto principle of people utilizing it. It's like the value there is really good.
For sure. If you enjoyed the conversation that we had about the technical analysis stuff, the newsletter is for you. You guys are not afraid to go in depth talking about it. A lot of Fibonacci's, a lot of 4-year cycle stuff. And you even do it for some of the other coins that are popping off that week, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, definitely.
True. All right. Any final thoughts? Any maybe a teaser on when the next
will be happening right here in about an hour. So Rolo's just got in, and what do you call it? Tune in for that. Shout out.
True.
Go over there.
Yeah. Rolo's good people. Ask him if he's got his Emperor's Children painted yet. The release came out after I talked to him in Vegas that one time.
We got what band is that, Rolo, that we got the guitar there? Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna guess. I just didn't want to be wrong. Yeah, he put a Van Halen signed guitar in here. It's pretty sweet.
Wow. Damn, son, that's nice.
By the way, Charlie, do you have any spoilers, teasers about when the next course might be?
We got a specific date lined up, but yeah, it'll probably be early June.
All right, folks, mark your calendars. Early June. You heard it here. Excellent. Gentlemen, we got to close the show fast, so let's go down the line. Mr. Agent J, where can folks find you at?
You can find me on Instagram at agent_J Schroth, on X at _P90Hex, but mostly you could find me in our DGen Roundtable community Telegram. That's where we do our daily streams, or as many streams per day as time permits. But you could find me there, Dace and Tracker as well. 7:45 a.m. to 8 a.m. MST is our usual start time. We usually go anywhere between 30 to 45 minutes on average. Sometimes we go longer if there's a lot of charts, if there's a lot of requests, there's a lot of news to cover, Monday through Friday. So that's where you can find me. So as always, thank you, gang, for joining us. And thank you, Charlie, for being here, man. It was a fun conversation. We could talk your ears off for more than hours, but would love to be respectful of your time. So got to get you out of here. So thank you, everybody. For those of you joining us here on the live stream, and for those of you who are going to catch us on the replay, we know that time is your most valuable asset, so we do appreciate that you spend some of that time here with us. So until next time, make sure to like the damn video, comment, subscribe, scan the QR code, jump into the Telegram. Until next time, Nate.
Hey, you can find me in the Telegram, which, yes, everything that Jay is talking about, you need to get in there. He's basically doing this daily. It's absolutely incredible that he's able to do that. There's a ton of very good info in there. You can also follow me at x.com, The Ascending Man, as well as I do have my own YouTube channel as well. It's my own personal brand one. It's simply, actually, I just recorded a new video, a little bit shorter form content, just sort of like quick takes. Quick takes, I take 15 minutes, but yeah, I just recorded one that is all about, would you rather be right or would you rather be rich? Unfortunately, too many people have, let's just say, their egos get in the way of making money. And unfortunately, they end up getting wrecked most of the time. So yeah, look forward to that coming out. Aside from that, though, I'll go ahead and move it over to Will Stevenson. How are things going?
Excellent. Thank you, Nate. For the folks at home, you guys can find me here in the DGen Roundtable. We are streaming live every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, all the way to 10 p.m. For those of you guys that want my socials, you can find all of my socials linked at will.pls.fyi. That is my cryptocurrency domain. So everything is linked from there. And if you guys are a Hexkin, you want to meet other Hexkins, go to bit.ly/Hex_meetup. It's a little telegram that I made for Hexkins to go and organize their own little meets. Other than that, we are doing the normal streaming, and you guys can catch me over on RH Max's channel on Monday the 5th. I'm going to be talking to a panel of survivalists, including Mr. Zenith up here. Oh, yep, camera that way. And then also I'm going to be on the panel interviewing Aubrey DeGray. So it's going to be a good time. Check us out over there on RH Max's channel. It's a good time. And Zenith, go ahead and take us out, broski.
Will do. Folks, catch you on Instagram and Twitter at ZenithDI. Scan the QR code and get in our Telegram chat. Hang out, ask us any questions you want, post good memes. That's what we do. Other than that, please check out RH Max May 5th through the 6th. He's putting on a virtual Hex Quattro Cinco conference. Myself, Will, various other members of the community. I saw SJ in the chat earlier. She snuck in here. All of us are going to be on there with lots more. So it's going to be a great time. We hope to see you guys there. But outside of that, if you're not already following him, I don't know why you wouldn't. Go follow Charlie, YouTube and Twitter. But outside of that, ladies and gentlemen, you heard Agent J say it first, but time is your most valuable asset, and we appreciate you every time you spend it here with us. So until we catch you guys next time, I hope that everyone out there continues to degen responsibly.